Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne.
Hey, welcome back everybody. Today's objectives are to review Mendel's principles of genetics and to examine other principles that go beyond Mendel's principles of genetics. Mendel's first law is the law of dominance, which states that the dominant allele will show if present. The recessive allele will only show if it is the only type of allele present. If we take a look at the two Punnett squares to the right here, in this Punnett square we have a big A, little a, so the dominant allele will be the one expressed there, but we also have outcomes that have little a, so the recessive trait will also be expressed. It's a possible outcome in this Punnett square. To the Punnett square below, we have two homozygous parents. A dominant one and a recessive one produces four heterozygous or hybrids, which means that there is a dominant allele in each of the four outcomes, therefore only the dominant allele will be expressed. Mendel's second law is the law of segregation. During the formation of gametes, which are the eggs and sperm, the two alleles responsible for a trait separate from each other. Alleles for the trait are then recombined at fertilization, so when the egg meets the sperm, producing the genotype for the traits of the offspring. So when we split the genotype, or the letters, and put one above each column on the Punnett square, you have segregated the alleles for the specific trait. It just means the law of segregation is saying that you will not get all the traits of one parent. You will get some of your mom, some of your dad, so each parent's alleles contribute to the offspring's genetic makeup. Mendel's third law, the law of independent assortment, was more directly focused on the two-factor test cross. In this experiment, there are 556 seeds produced. 315 were yellow and round, 108 were yellow and wrinkled, 101 were green and round, and 32 were wrinkled and green. And this follows the 9:3 to 3:1 ratio that we talked about in the dihybrid test cross. We can tell that independent assortment occurs because there were 209 combinations of phenotypes that were different than the ones found in the parents. So the result is genes segregate independently, so this brought up the law of independent assortment. In summary of Mendel's principles, inheritance of biological characteristics is determined by genes that are passed from parents to offspring. In cases where two or more alleles of a gene exist, some may be dominant and some may be recessive. In most sexually reproducing organisms, each adult has two copies of each gene, one from each parent. These are separated during gamete formation. Alleles for different genes segregate independently. So if we go beyond dominant and recessive in Mendelian genetics, there are some conditions where alleles are neither dominant or recessive. Many traits are controlled by multiple alleles or genes. Our first example is incomplete dominance found in 4 o'clock plants. When one allele is not completely dominant over the other, we will see a blend of the two alleles. So in this case we have white flowers and red flowers, and it produces pink flowers. The next instance is in codominance. It means both alleles contribute to the phenotype. An example is chickens with genes for black and white feathers have both colors showing. Another example is the gene for protein that controls human cholesterol levels in blood. The next scenario is something called multiple alleles. These are genes having more than two alleles. For example, the coat color in rabbits has at least 4 different alleles. The last scenario is polygenic traits. Poly means many. So these are traits controlled by 2 or more genes. So 2 or more genes means that there could be several alleles present here. At least 3 genes are involved in making the red-brown pigment in fruit fly eyes. Another example is human skin color is controlled by more than 4 genes, and the picture down below shows many different skin color variations through many different races. So we reviewed the principles of genetics. We went through the principle of dominance, the principle of segregation, and the principle of independent assortment. We also examined some other principles that go beyond Mendel, such as codominance, incomplete dominance, polygenic traits. They're all examples of principles that go beyond Mendel. If you have any questions on this tutorial, please bring them to class. We will talk about more specific examples of each case in class, so be ready to discuss other examples of these principles that go beyond Mendel.